and
Oddworld.
Hey oddballs, I'm your host Jensen, and welcome to episode 87. I am back, my brain is good, I feel great, the weather is wonderful, I feel like I have finally stepped into 2024. It started out really rough, there was a lot going on, and now we're already basically in March, and I'm finally just now feeling like, all right, here we go, this is good. But enough about me, we're going to learn about the roosters today, which actually technically is about me because I am a rooster of the Chinese Zodiac. So let's go ahead and learn about that.
Zodiac.
I'm into that.
Today's Chinese Zodiac is the rooster. Back in ancient times, when there was no alarm clock, rooster played an important role of waking people up. Thus, the first symbolic meaning of Chinese Zodiac rooster sign is punctuality. Besides, it was believed by ancient people that its crow and blood could dispel evil spirits, and that's why rooster is also the embodiment of good luck. The years of the rooster include 2029, 2017, 2005, 1993, 1981, 1969, 1957, 1945, 1933, and 1921. And if you want to know past 2029, add 12 and keep adding 12. And if you want to know before 1921, minus 12 and keep minusing 12. I hope you learned a little something about the rooster, and apparently I embody good luck. I feel like that is quite the opposite, but I digress. So if you are a rooster, let me know, and let's go ahead and move on to stories.
This comes from embarrassed_list865 on Reddit.
This didn't happen to me, but to a friend of mine who witnessed a bizarre moment with his friends in the woods. This would have taken place around 2006 in Cornwall, UK. I was part of the alternative crowd, but had a few towny chav friends as well, one of which was a guy called Richard. For those that don't know, the towny chav folks tend to be run-of-the-mill, working class types who are a bit rough around the edges, but as a rule, very down to earth. Zero interest in the paranormal, unless they can snort or steal it. So Richard is at a party in a place called Baldhu Woods one night. Side note, Baldhu Woods is famous for being associated with all manner of occult practice, from witches and warlocks to devil worshippers. This was due in part to there being a south-facing church in the woods. Allegedly, all sorts of nefarious activity occurred in and around Baldhu a long time ago, but not within the last 20 years or so. Not that any chav would be interested or even bothered by these anecdotes. Two completely different worlds. So back to the story. Richard and a group of 15 to 20 people were partying in the woods. There was some alcohol and drugs involved, but not for Richard, and a couple of other people who were driving that night. They made a bonfire, drinks and other things were no doubt flowing, and they partied until around 1 a.m., when they decided to move on to a house party in nearby Truro. They put out the fire, and then started to make their way out of the woods. Now, there's lots of trails to go through in Baldhu. It's popular during the daytime, but Richard left the path to go and pee against a tree. He didn't venture far, literally just a few meters off the path, behind some bushes and up to this huge tree. He started peeing, and then he heard the creaking of branches above him. He stepped back and looked up to see a huge black mass falling down towards him. he jumped back and screamed, causing the group to come storming through the bushes. And they all witnessed what had fallen some 40-50 feet from the tree. It was a huge black object, moving and twisting on the floor. It was smooth, shiny, and resembled a Binbag. They didn't say it was a Binbag. That's just the closest thing they could compare it to. It writhed back and forth, seemingly not interested or aware of the group. Regardless, they didn't stick around. They stared in fear and disbelief for a few moments, and then ran back to the path and their cars. Richard isn't prone to flights of fancy. He has no interest in anything otherworldly or paranormal. When he told me this story, he was deadly serious and had a fearful, confused demeanor about him, which was very out of character. Also, at least 15 other people witnessed it. I have no reason to disbelieve this account. Two things he noted really stuck with me. One was the size of this thing. He compared it to my brother. My brother is 6'4" and was around 120 kilograms back then. Hefty fucking lad. But it didn't really have the shape of a person, just a big mass. Like if a very large person was put in a huge bin bag. The second was the lack of noise it made. It had fallen from the height of almost 50 feet and landed on the hard woodland floor. There was no heavy breathing, no grunting, growling, or yelping, no moan or cry for help, no sound apart from the noise it made from writhing around on the forest floor. So I was totally thinking the whole time that, oh my gosh, it's a person in a garbage bag that fell from the trees. Because that is how the story was leading to, is that maybe it was a person in a garbage bag that fell from the trees. Now, there are lots of things wrong with this theory. First of all, how did the person get up there? And why did they put themselves in a garbage bag in the middle of the woods at the top of the trees and fall down? That makes zero sense in my brain, but somehow it still kind of does in a weird way. Then you would say, well, it still could happen. But like if they're not making any noise, that's suspicious. Even if they are like gagged with their mouth all the way taped shut, they would make some kind of noise still. You would hear something. My next thought was maybe it's a giant bat. I mean, I'm pretty sure those exist. I couldn't tell you what areas of the world that giant bats are in, but I know that they exist, or at least they did exist. And so maybe that's what it was, which is honestly kind of sad. And then maybe it's alien. Maybe it's an alien of some kind or some weird just creature thing. I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense of it because it's weird. It's a weird one. I have never come across one like this before. And I'm really curious to see what your guys' thoughts and comments and ideas and all the things are. And a little sidebar, the person who actually wrote this, they have a band and they're called Escapology. So for those of you who are like basically a millennial like me, even though I really hate being called that, but this person described themselves as a bunch of elder emos from the southwest UK coast. Yeah, so if that sounds like your jam, go check it out. It's definitely throwing me back to like late 90s, early 2000s. So go check them out. And we're going to go move on to the next story.
This comes from ChiliBilly420 on Reddit.
I don't really know how to start this. I was watching a YouTube video and made me think I should probably post my experience. This happened my sophomore or junior year of high school, so almost 3 years ago. I live in rural western North Carolina. I'm the first stop for the bus route, but my bus stop is probably a quarter mile away from my house, as our neighborhood is on a hill with a big private drive that leads up to the houses. And every morning, I'd say around 6:50, I would walk out of my driveway and down to the bus stop and wait. It's pitch black down there, and I had only my phone flashlight to guide me. And every day, I would stand and wait most of the time, listening to music or just looking at my phone. It always felt eerie being in the dark alone, but I have just always felt uncomfortable in the dark. One morning, I was walking down the hill as I did. It's a steep, long hill, and I only made it about a quarter of the way down when I heard a scraping noise. It's hard to describe. The best way I know how to explain it is nails on sheet metal. Originally, I didn't think much of it and just slowed down a little. And then it happened again. All of this happened within 30 seconds, mind you. And by my instinct, I guess, I just stopped in my tracks. My heart started pounding from the noise, making me nervous. I began to hear a loud rustling at the tree line on my left side, before something pale white, human-shaped, and maybe deer-sized, ran out of the wood line into the small yard next to me. I turned and ran so fast, I didn't get to look long, as it triggered my fight-or-flight response. I ran all the way back up the hill and jumped over every step on my porch and straight into my house, truly fearing for my life and hyperventilating. Mind you, I'm a large guy, about 5'11", 250 pounds. I don't get spooked easy, but I remember running and letting out a reflex wail of fear. It's all I could do as I ran, and to this day, I will never walk in my neighborhood in the dark. I was scared so bad, I found another way to get to school besides the bus, and shortly after, got my license. I just want to hear what y'all think. Well, I think it sounds fucking scary. If you want my honest opinion, I think it sounds absolutely terrifying, and that's a big no for me. I can't imagine something human and basically it sounds naked, pale white, running out. Hey, here I am. Absolutely not. I would have ran too. I don't know how fast, but I would have ran. I don't know what the sheet metal nail scratching sound thing is. No, I don't like that. But it's kind of like it was giving you a warning in a way. So I don't know. It freaks me out. I don't like it. I said I was going to try to get into cryptids and things like that this year. And so far, y'all are not disappointing. You guys are really not disappointing with these stories. They're freaking me out. And yeah, I would love to hear what everybody else's opinion is. If you've had a story like this, let me know. If you have any paranormal story in general, let me know. I'd love to hear it. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And well, it's an odd world after all.
Oddballs, go follow us on It's an Odd World After All podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Also, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. If you have a story you would like to share, email us at it'sanoddworldafterall@gmail.com or message us on one of our social platforms. Don't forget to share us with your family and friends. And check out our website, it'sanoddworldafterall.com.